Welcome to CARDESIGN.ACADEMY and the continuation of the SL Coupe interior. So in the last demo, I demoed how to set up a basic interior tub environment along with the headliner. And this mates the interior to the exterior, so we know exactly what the space is that we have to work with. Also showing the occupant layout and then the headliner, which shows how the glass profile, the roof profile fits into the interior environment as well. So you get a really good sense of outward visibility. I know what my upward and downward vision are, my entry egress, my pillar placement and pillar obstruction. And so now I'm ready to start sketching out the theme of the interior. So with that, I'm going to peel back the exterior glass and headliner. So now I have pretty good idea of the interior space as it relates to the exterior. I'm also going to take my occupants and just turn them way down in terms of transparency. And so at this point, what I usually like to do is start with a basic sketch of the interior. And I'm coming into this with no preconceived idea of what the theme should be other than what's in my head. I haven't done any sketches on paper. I'm doing this purely in Gravity Sketch. So this is an all Gravity Sketch design process. So I've just got my ink brush here, and I'm just going to start sketching out the theme and the layout of the interior. What I like to do is just start with the driver's position. So I'm sitting here looking. I can see the horizon line out here. I can see the driver's hands. I'm sitting in full scale, human scale. And my hands are right in front of me where the steering wheel would be. So I can just start to sketch, just sketch out a basic shape of a steering wheel. So this gives me a pretty good idea of the ergonomics. And then I can start to think about like what kind of a touch screen I might want. So my displays, I know exactly where these displays need to be. So I can fine tune everything. I can get the steering wheel in the right place. So I can see through the steering wheel and see the display. I have kind of a general zone here where my touch screen information would be. I know where a shifter would be. Now this is going to be an electric vehicle, so I'm not sure I'm going to go with a traditional shifter. So this is just to show you how I start off with the interior as a piece of ergonomics. So I am going to keep the steering wheel a little bit higher, and I'm also going to take the occupant's hands up a little bit, because as I'm sitting here, I'm feeling like the hands are a little bit low. So then I can just bring the steering wheel back a little bit, bring it up. And so from the driver's point of view, the top of the steering wheel is aligned pretty well with the top of the dash. I can see through the steering wheel. I can see right into the information display. So everything is as it should be in terms of ergonomics. And so now I can start to lay out the basic theme of the interior. So I'm going to get rid of those things for now, but I am going to keep the steering wheel. And I'm going to start with a symmetrical interior. Now, as I developed this interior package, I came up with the idea of adding a third occupant with his or her legs stretched between the front occupants. And I thought I'd actually start with the rear occupant and give that person a real VIP environment, almost like the back of a limousine, like a seat that's just designed for that person. So go ahead and lock the occupant layer again. And so I'm going to start with just sketching out almost like a throne here. Something that really surrounds that person. I can very quickly sketch a nice theme here. That person might actually have some kind of a footrest. You can see that person's going to have a very regal experience. So if I turn on the occupants to full opacity, you can see that person has a very nice environment. So so then that person's also going to want some kind of table or console. So this is going to be like a center console, which provides control to the front occupants, but also provides a bit of a maybe a sliding table or something for the rear occupant. So they have like a maybe it's something that kind of slides in and out. Before we get too crazy, I'm gonna try to sketch out some front seats as well. Now the front seats, this is still a sports car, so we want to have a nice driver focused bucket seat that really keeps that person in place. What's nice is being able to sketch three-dimensionally. You really get a sense of the scale and position of things as they relate to the human. So I'm just going to sketch a kind of a center line to the seat. You can see the seat is more or less following the profile of the occupant. And so at this point, I'm going to turn the occupants off so I can see what I have here. And now the SL interior has always been dominated by some very pronounced like vents, circular vents. I'm going to make them more square shaped. But that's going to give it a little bit of a nod to the original car. Get this thing out a bit wider. So now I'm starting to get a sense of the scale of this thing and all of the surfaces. I'm going to do a little bit of work on the steering wheel. Get a sense of how that steering column plugs into the dash. What I'm thinking is that most of your information would be displayed right in the steering wheel, and then there'd be, perhaps part of this IP would flip up. So we'll get a little bit more into that as I start to develop the interior. Now we're going to want to have some kind of an armrest here. For the front occupants. And then I'm going to want to start to think about how all of this ties together in a theme. So I'm going to think about an armrest. Some door trim. I'm also thinking about maybe how some of this could tie together. Maybe the seats are actually integrated into the door. So you can see how very quickly I can get a nice sense of scale and dimension in order to sketch out a great interior theme. So when I bring my occupants back, I have a pretty clear vision as to what this is going to look like. So if I turn on my glass, my headliner, I can now sit in the vehicle in human scale. And so if I go to home orientation now, I'm in human scale. I can actually sit in the driver's seat and imagine what this thing is going to look like from the driver's point of view as that person looks out on the road ahead. And I can see how I'm going to be able to reach everything. And then for this sort of VIP rear occupant, I can imagine, just being able to sit here with this almost throne-like environment and this nice little fold-out table. And I think it's going to be a really, really interesting piece of design. So this is how I typically approach an automotive interior at the very beginning stages. And in the next stage, we will start to lay out the theme in sub-D surfaces. And that's where I can start to really get into color and material. And I'll have a much better idea of shape and form as well. We'll probably start with the steering wheel and the seats, and then we'll go from there. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time at CARDESIGN.ACADEMY.